The May 11th, 2020 Board of Education regular session will begin momentarily. We shall now begin the May 11th, 2020 Oconee County Board of Education regular session.
Good evening. Time now is 6 o'clock. Call this meeting of the Board of Education, which is live stream link, to order. It is a meeting which we meet in public. We're missing one. Shall I wait? What do you think, Dr. Branch? Should I wait?
Yes, sir. I would wait just a minute. It looks like Mr. Burgess may be logged off for some reason. If we want to give him just a moment.
Sure, glad to.
Staff is working with Mr. Burgess now to get him logged back on, so we should be ready to go momentarily.
Well, Simon and Garfunkel used to sing a song, "Silence is Golden." I guess we can appreciate that now, 50 or 60 years later.
Board members, as we wait for Mr. Burgess to rejoin the meeting, please mute your cameras and your microphones. Thank you.
There he is. Okay, you're on mute, Tim, right now. I think we're all back. So now we've lost Wayne.
Uh-oh.
I keep hitting the wrong stinking button on this thing.
Yeah, it's the one down at the bottom.
Yeah, I know.
All righty, we're all back. So call this meeting to order. The time now is 6:05, and it's our meeting which occurs in public. So first item we have is to approve the agenda that you've seen and have in front of you. So need a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
So moved, Mr. Bagley.
Second.
Second, Ms. Argo. All in favor, please raise your hands where I can see them. Yes, that passes 5-0. Next is minutes approval. The April 20th, 2020 regular session and the May 4th, 2020 work session. Hope you've had a chance to review those. So we do need a motion to approve.
Move approval.
Moved by Mr. Burgess.
Second.
Second, Mr. Bagley. All in favor, please raise your hands. Passes 5-0. Thank you. And other than that little salutation there, we have communications to the board, business services. Sarah Anna Charp. Welcome.
Well, good evening, everyone. Business Services has 6 items of information for tonight's board meeting. The first item of information is the cash balance report for April. The second item of information you have before you is a list of all the vendors that were paid during the month of April. The third item of information is the budget report, and board members, typically this month we would present a tentative budget, but since the state has not passed a budget, we look to bring the tentative budget to you in June. The next item of information is the ELOS report. The rolling average is slightly below the previous year by almost 2%. This month's collections are 10% lower than the previous year, and we expected a drop in collections, and we will continue to monitor these collections closely. The fifth item of information is the board report for ELOS 5, and all the revenues and expenditures have been updated as of April the 30th. And the last item of information I have for you is an update on our meal service. At the end of April, nearly 38,000 meals had been served, and as of today, we have served nearly 47,000 meals. So you have before you charts for each delivery, whether it's neighborhood or drive up, and they're by day, the day that we have the service. Also, you have pictures of the meal service. You can see buses being loaded and mini lunch sacks ready to be packed and the staff preparing meals. Again, I just want to thank the staff for the continued hard work and effort to provide meals to our students. And board members, I'm also pleased to tell you we are able to extend our meal service through June. And we're working through those details of how that's going to look. And once all of that is finalized, we will inform you of those finalized details. And that concludes my report unless there are questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions? Mr. Burgess. You're on mute right now.
Oh, yeah, I got it. Sarah Anna, let me ask you one question about this chart, OCS meal service. Am I interpreting this chart correctly that on a normal on most of these days, the number of meals we have fed more non-students than students, or at least as many non-students as students?
These charts show just the total number of students, and we don't break it down we don't have a way to know whether they're our students or someone else. Is that what you're asking me?
Well, like take for instance, April 16th. we served 1,100 meals with 552 students. So, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
On that day, you serve 2 meals a day. You serve breakfast and a lunch.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's the reason, that's the
Okay.
number of meals. And so then when you see like your bus drop off, on Mondays, we serve meals for Monday and Tuesday, breakfast and lunch for Monday and Tuesday.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I got it. Sorry. Thanks.
Other questions? Well, I believe that does it. Thank you. Great job. Please share with all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Student Services, Dallas LaDuff.
Good
There
evening,
you are.
everyone. The Student Services Report contains one item of information, and that is our in-person graduation ceremonies. We're planning for an option in June and another option in July, and we would hold those ceremonies as early as we are able to do so. We've also worked with our high school principals to secure dates that we would replace our original dates if weather does not permit us to have them on those dates. So if we are able to hold our ceremonies in June, North Oconee High School would have a ceremony date of June 26th, beginning at 7:00 p.m. If the weather prevents us from continuing with that date, we have a backup date of June 27th at 10 a.m. And finally, if we are unable to hold the ceremony on either of those first two dates, North Oconee High School would have their ceremony on Sunday, June 28th at 3 p.m. Oconee County High School has an original date in June of June 27th at 7 p.m. If weather prevented us from holding that ceremony, we would hold it on the backup date of June 28th at 7 p.m. The reason for North Oconee having the two separate backup dates is because their original date is on a Friday, so we have an additional day that weekend where we could fit it in if both of those first two options did get rained out. That being said, if we're unable to hold those ceremonies in June, but we are able to hold them in July, North Oconee would have a ceremony date of July 24th beginning at 7 p.m. If weather prevented us from continuing with that date, we would have a backup date of July 25th at 10 a.m. And if we were unable to have it on either of those dates for North Oconee High School, we would move to July 26th at 3 p.m. Oconee County High School would have a date of July 25th at 7 p.m. And if weather prevented us from holding that ceremony, we would hold it on the backup date of July 26th at 7 p.m. And that concludes the Student Services Report, unless there are any questions.
Sorry. I know you've worked hard on that. We do appreciate your effort on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is operations. Brock Toole.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The Oconee County Schools Operation May 11th Board of Education report contains one item of information and no action items. This has to do with the construction update of the Malcolm Bridge Road roundabouts. Last week, we reported that the road would be shut down either May 26th or June 1st. And I have an update from Jody Woodall that now will be closed down on May the 18th. So I wanted to update you all. And if there are no further questions, that concludes my report.
Okay, I have none. Are there other questions? Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Next on our agenda is public communication. Anissa.
Our call-in visitor this evening is Mrs. Amanda Davis on behalf of School System Partner Oconee Area Resource Council, or OARC. Ms. Davis will now share with us her 5-minute visitor remarks. Ms. Davis?
Good evening. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your service to our community. I have the privilege and responsibility of serving as Oconee Area Resource Council's Executive Director, and I would like to take a minute and publicly thank Oconee County Schools for our continued and increased partnership during the COVID-19 crisis. Please step back with me for a minute to Thursday, March 12th, as OARC sent home 147 of our regular Food for Kids bags of kid-friendly, nutritious food. On Friday, the 13th, we met again as the OARC board and several community volunteers prepared an additional bag of food in response to schools closing for 2 weeks. We included information about how to pick up food bags at OARC on Monday, March 16th. You will remember the panic that grocery stores were beginning to experience that week, and we were also concerned as we faced empty shelves and the inability to order product from some of our normal sources. Over the weekend, OARC staff and board members began buying food for 84 families as we heard school districts were most likely following summer feeding program models. OARC Summer Food for Kids, in partnership with Oconee County Schools, typically fills that gap in our county. On Monday, March 16th, Oconee County Schools social workers and counselors met at our office to welcome families, help hand out food, and deliver food to families who did not have transportation. Their help and support was and continues to be vital over these weeks. They have communicated with families to understand the needs and changing situations of some of our most vulnerable families. Also, that same day, Oconee County Schools announced that in partnership with OARC, students would be able to pick up shelf-stable food beginning on Tuesday, March 17th from Oconee County Middle School. As we were all navigating new territory, we agreed to try this through the first week of the school closure, with an update to be provided that Friday. In addition, families enrolled in OARC's Food for Kids program were able to pick up that food from OCMS as well. This partnership was to include Oconee County Schools providing cafeteria managers to pack food with counselors, social workers, and additional Oconee County Schools employees to help facilitate this effort. As you know, during this crisis, we've all had to be flexible and adapt to new information. And on late Monday, March 16th, Oconee County Schools obtained a waiver to begin federal funding for the Feeding Assistance Program, which began on Thursday, March 19th. In that interim of the first few days, Oconee County Schools and OARC prepared 600 bags of shelf-stable breakfast and lunch items. The school nutrition staff came to OARC headquarters, and they were very efficient in putting these bags together. Those incredible ladies know how to handle food, and they are the true heroes at feeding our kiddos. In addition, Oconee County Schools shared the link on our website for community members to contribute to our efforts financially. We had begun to receive generous donations as school initially closed for 2 weeks, and the momentum was exponentially increased as Oconee County Schools shared this information with stakeholders who may not have been aware of Food for Kids or how to directly impact these families. To this date, we have received over $50,000 towards our efforts to feed the children and families experiencing food insecurity in our county. This support is so vital as the cost of food per week has increased for us from $750 for 150 children to receive a $5 bag of food to between $5,000 and $7,000 weekly as we serve between 85 and 95 family bags. Each box costs between $50 and $75 a box, depending on how inexpensive we can get food right now. We are incredibly thankful for Oconee County Schools sharing this link, especially as 2 of our major fundraisers have been canceled due to COVID-19. As our partnership has shifted to focus on an emergency Food for Kids program, OARC has provided family bags of food to 84 families for the first 3 weeks. Our school social workers planning the routes and recruiting volunteers of counselors, teachers, and staff to deliver the boxes of food to families, our numbers have increased now to 94 families, including 167 children with no waiting list. I'm incredibly thankful for the support of Oconee County Schools, including upper administration, the Department of Nutrition, social workers, counselors, and teachers. OARC is thankful, and we will always seek creative and innovative ways to work together to feed the highest number of children we can. Our mission states that all Oconee residents will live in a safe, healthy, and stable environment. We are thankful for Oconee County Schools. We're thankful for your leadership, and we appreciate the opportunity to share this evening.
Thank you, Amanda. We greatly appreciate all of your efforts and OARC as we worked through this. And just thank you so much for your comments this evening. Anyone else?
Just thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all that you do.
Mrs. Davis, thank you for your comments. You may now exit from this call, and at this time, we shall return the meeting to the board chair.
Okay, we're going to move on now to action items this evening. And the first one we have is facility use agreement. Dr. Branch.
Yes, sir. You have the facility use agreement before you, and there are no changes since the presentation last week, so we would recommend approval as presented.
Right. And County Commission has already passed this at their prior meeting, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Unless you have a question of the superintendent, then well, all we need to do is have a motion to approve.
Recommend approval.
Mr. Burgess made that motion. Need a second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Argo. All in favor, please raise your hands where I can see them. That passes 5-0. Thank you. Next item on the action items is our Board of Education meeting dates for 2020 and 21.
Yes, sir. It's the normal time of year for us to set these dates, and so you have those before you. And so we recommend the board approve those dates as presented.
Okay. You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. We need a motion to approve unless you have some questions in the interim. Okay, need a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
So moved, Mr. Bagley. Second, Ms. Parrish.
Yes, second.
Second, Ms. Parrish. Thank you. All in favor, please raise your hands. Passes 5-0. Thank you. And we have a need, I see, for executive session this evening, so we need a motion to approve.
I make a motion the board adjourn to executive session to discuss or deliberate upon personnel matters as described on an affidavit that will be attached to the minutes.
Thank you. Ms. Argo's made that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Parrish. All in favor, please raise your hands accordingly. It passes 5-0. We're adjourned to executive session. Thank you.
Board members, please mute your cameras and microphones at this time, and I will advise as to when the live stream has ended.